Hey guys, so it's about 3:30 here in the UK. I'm up watching WrestleMania. The main event's about to start. Still in a bit of shock though because for the first time ever, The Undertaker has lost at WrestleMania. That's him 21-0 now. So he just lost to Brock Lesnar. And a lot of people are asking why this happened. Why would they do this? And I have a theory which I want to put forward to you guys. So basically, I'm a huge UFC fan and boxing fan, so I follow a lot of that almost religiously. So if you remember back one of Brock Lesnar's fights, I think it was the Cain Velasquez fight, I'm sure, and Brock, after losing the fight and getting beat up pretty bad, he left the ring. Undertaker was actually at ringside, viewing the fight, and he walked past Undertaker, and Undertaker stopped him and said, "You want to do this?" Which obviously we now know is they were trying to get him back into WWE for a Mania event, that and they couldn't get him then at that time. So I think Triple H, that was back when Triple H went into the main event, or it might have been a previous WrestleMania. I can't remember what the year it works out as, but they didn't manage to get him back for then. But then we obviously now know that this was what they were talking about, try to get him here for this. So Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, from what I've heard and read a lot, they really, really don't like each other outside of the ring and behind the scenes. They really do have like a problem with each other and they don't get on, and that's not part of a story, that's just something that is a fact. They just don't like each other. So you need to look at it like this: Brock Lesnar, after wrestling, is pretty rich. He doesn't need to do anything else. He goes into the UFC because it's something he wants to do. He makes a shit ton of money in the UFC because he was a fucking draw. He is the biggest thing that happened to the UFC. I still believe that UFC would be 2 steps behind what they are now if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar. His magnitude and just the way he, drew in just so much attention to them. He made tons of money there. He was rich as hell. He didn't have to go back to WWE, but obviously, Undertaker and being ringside and talking to him and saying, "Do you want to do this?" We know that the WWE did want him to come back, and they probably knew that was because being so successful in MMA in such a short period of time and being so explosive and dominant and looking like the real deal. I mean, he went from being that character in the WWE, that demonic, monstrous beast, to backing it up in real life in a real fight, and that adds value to him. So the WWE probably want him back because they think he's going to be just even more deadly and even more believable in the ring, and it's going to be even more exciting. So he's probably sitting there thinking, I don't need to go back. There's nothing you can give me. I'm rich. I've got everything I want. I don't need to go back. So he's probably said to the WWE that he wants a guarantee that he can. Or he's probably, actually, I don't think he specifically requested this. I think Undertaker personally has said to WWE to offer it to him, because I believe that Undertaker has said, "Listen, I'm going to retire in a couple of years. I know I can't do this after a couple of years anymore." And for some reason, I've heard that the Undertaker didn't want to retire with the streak intact. I think he thought of the business as being bigger than the streak and wanted to make a point of that by going out on his shield, being defeated, but going out at the top, and at WrestleMania. So he's probably said, offer him this, because Undertaker will always do what's best for the business because he loves the business and cares about it. And at that time, with Brock Lesnar being in the UFC, they probably think that by getting him to come back to the WWE, he is going to be so fucking huge in the WWE. It's going to be such a big attraction. And rightfully, when he comes back, that first return to the ring, he's the energy in that arena is explosive, and he just rips the place apart, and he's insane, and then he does the stuff to John Cena and everything. Oh, it's just incredible. But after a few events, he becomes more of a gimmick, wearing his UFC attire, and the fans aren't going too crazy anymore. But it doesn't matter, he's probably still got that in his contract that he gets to beat Taker at WrestleMania, and he sees that as something worthwhile for coming back. So he comes back and does the odd match where he loses to Triple H or something, and he doesn't mind all that because he knows he's going to get the ultimate prize, which is being the guy who beats Taker. And at the time, the WWE probably think that is good for business, because they probably think that he's going to come back and be so huge that fans will accept that as a real thing. It could only be someone as real as him that could do it. So that's why I think that they've done it. And you even see when he's leaving the ring after defeating Taker there at WrestleMania 30, he turns and he gives a little wink, and it looks like he's winking at Undertaker or back towards the ring area. So that's why I think it is. I mean, do I think it was... the thing is that it's not so much the fact that he lost, it's the fact that the match kind of sucked. That's what I'm a bit disappointed about. I wish Undertaker went out to Triple H last year, because that was a badass match, and I think Triple H being one of my all-time favourites, just behind Kane, the original Kane back in the Attitude Era. I know it's the same guy, I'm just saying, it's whatever. But yeah, so I wish it had went on just a better match, but I do think Brock Lesnar isn't going to be a full-time guy anymore, and I think he'll pretty much go soon as well. And I think The Undertaker just... He wanted to get rid of it and make sure everyone knows that, that there is something to beat, because if he went to 22-0 and then retired and was never defeated, there's nobody who can beat that. There's nobody who can achieve better than that by ending it at a certain limit. He gives a limit for someone to try and overtake, someone to beat, someone to push to beat the Undertaker's record. He also has the thing of like an old lion going out in his shield. He's got to the point where he's old now. He's at the end of his life, and the new young lions have came in and take over. And overall, I think it's good and bad, but definitely wish he went out to a better match. That was my only problem with it. But really, this video was just to say why I think it did happen. I think they maybe underestimated how big Brock Lesnar would be initially to just now. I know it was like that explosive energy when he came back and everything, but that kind of settled down. But I think it was already in his contract, and they probably just had to go with it and just do it. And Undertaker was like, listen, just too old for this, can't do it anymore, guys. Someone's gonna do it, just let it be someone who can help the business by coming back, because if it's gonna bring Brock Lesnar back and get him to come back for a year or so, and get him to do all these events for the business and help the business by bringing all that attraction and everything, then it'll be helping the business, and he can go out knowing that he done his best for the business and for the fans. So that's why I think he lost, and it is sad, but at least, I think now he can, instead of having, I think as well, it gives like an actual end to the Undertaker. You don't want to just like win and then go away and then just not come back, and then it's like, well, he could have done another one. This kind of ends it. It's like a clean ending. It's the Undertaker was... And the ending doesn't diminish his career in any way. It just says, instead of looking at it, I don't look at it as 21-1. I look at it as 21 WrestleManias in a row, and that will never be taken away from him, and nobody will ever achieve that again anyway. So Yep. Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you're all enjoying WrestleMania. I'm going to go and catch the rest of this main event with Batista, God, Goatface, and Orton. Probably, I'm not a Daniel Bryan fan, guys, so just don't even get me started on that. But anyway, let's go and watch the rest of it. See you guys later.